if I wanted to make now a fritted glass, right? So we have a glass material here. We have our texture mapped wood floor. We have our procedural brick made, right? When I want to do a piece of fritted glass, right? Because that comes out a lot as well too, right? I can select a new material, and we're going to do an opacity mapping on these objects. Right, so knowing that we can use the tiles to do procedures, I can do this either with a JPEG, I can do it with a procedure, it works multiple ways. Right, so I just select a blank material, and I'm going to call this opacity. And in the diffuse channel, a quick way to get to the diffuse mapping channel is right next to the diffuse color, there's the box. I can click on that, and it loads the tiles without having to scroll up and down all the time. And I'm going to double click and look at that material as I'm editing it. Now this one, I'm going to have a vertical or a horizontal line for my frit pattern. So I'll select a stack bond, and then in its advanced controls, I'm going to do a horizontal count of 0. So there's none going up and down. There's only straight vertical or straight horizontal lines. So that's my vertical count. And I'm going to say something like, we know 36 going up is 1 every 2 inches, so maybe I want 72 of them. Yeah, should we do 0.4? It's about even space, so it's half and half. And then whatever's black, right, is going to disappear. Whatever's light is going to stay. Well, actually, yeah. So we'll make our texture black, our grout setup white. And whatever color you choose for your grout setup is the color that's going to come across. So if I wanted a blue, I would set my blue grout texture. And then I'm going to call this, that child, I need to call it a frit. And I'm going to make sure that when I'm in that frit, the child, that I show standard map in viewport. I'm going to select my object, I'm going to apply that. Now in my mapping channel of the parent where I have my frit loaded in, I'm going to copy that into my opacity channel. And it will remove any of the black areas and maintain any of the white areas. Right, so I can begin to see behind my object. And if I render it as is right now, I have a fritted pattern that I can see through on my object. What I need to do is, I need to get the glass and this fritted pattern to merge together. So what we can do is make a blend material that takes two materials and blends them together. And where it says V-Ray material here, I'm going to go under the materials rollout, select V-Ray, and if you're like mine where you got like all this stuff loaded, you can just go ahead and roll up that rollout, go to materials, and then V-Ray. We want this V-Ray blend material. So you'll do the V-Ray rollout. Click OK. And I'm going to discard my old material. And I'm going to drag my glass into my base material. And in this case, I'm going to do an instance of it, because if I change this glass, I want it to update my blended material. If I change this frit pattern, I want it to update that blended material as well. So I'll make it an instance. So if I change it here, it changes it here. And then I'll take my frit and I'll load it into my coat material and also make that an instance. So I have my opacity, and then my coat material, my base material is the glass. The last part of this is like our like we handle reflection and like we handle refraction, is we need to add a color value into the blended amount. So I can do that also on procedure by using a V-ray color. So we should see V-ray color. So just like we were going to load a bitmap under the blend amount where it says none, I click on it and I toggle to the V-ray color. I click OK. And we use our color value slider. So this is 100% blended. This is 0% blended. So I'll go to 100% blended almost. So I double click and look at that. I now have glass loaded on top of I have a fritted pattern on top of my glass. If I need to swap my opacity with my glass, so right now I have my fritted pattern appearing as if it's painted onto the glass. So I'll take and drag that opacity up into the glass coat material, or base material. And then it gives me the option to swap those objects. Should update. So now it has the appearance as if this is now embedded within the glass. It's all dependent upon what you want to get out of the material. I'm going to call this material blend. And I'm going to apply to my object. And then if I render, right, as I see this horizontal banding happening, or this vertical band, that's because the material is still continuing to tile itself. So even though we've said 0 for the horizontal line, I'm still going to get that line. So this is a case where I would need to do a custom UVW map specifically on that object itself. So if I select my piece, make sure in here I can see that in my viewport. Right, you can even see the banding happening in the viewport. What I do is on my UVW map, if I expand that, there's a gizmo for the UVW map. That gizmo is going to allow me to either move, it's going to allow me to move how that is aligned on my object. Or I can make the width larger on my banding. So I would try and align it with a corner edge so it doesn't look as obtrusive. It's inevitable that you will end up with some type of break in this. Or I just make it larger than my object in all directions, right? And I can, on the fly, increase or decrease the amount of that frit, right? So that would get rid of the banding. So if I hit Shift Q on the keyboard, my banding is gone. Okay. It's kind of hard to see up there. You can see it now.